In this video, I will go over our top 10 disadvantages of starting stock photography business in 2023. In our previous video, we went over our top advantages of starting stock photography, and we linked it above and in the description. At the end of this video, we'll attempt to conclude if stock photography is still worth it today. My wife and I have been doing stock photography for the past 7 years as a full-time business for a living. In this video series, we would like to share our experience with you and let you know what to expect if you are thinking of getting into stock photography. Please subscribe to our channel, as we will be posting many more educational videos about starting and succeeding in stock photography. Disadvantage number 1 is that you will need an investment at least of $3,000 to $5,000 to start your stock photography business. While the majority of this expense goes towards purchases of camera gear, you will also need to budget for various software programs to edit your photos and videos. The post-processing software is typically offered on an annual subscription basis from $200 to $400 per year. If someone tells you that you can take stock photos and videos using your phone or cheap cropped sensor camera, do not trust them, they are being disingenuous. Generally, it is true that you can take photos of decent image quality using crop sensor cameras. However, the image quality is not anywhere comparable to full-frame cameras. Also, lenses for full-frame cameras produce much higher image quality compared to crop sensor ones. If you go cheap, the result may be a high rejection rate for your content when you submit it to stock photo agencies. As for the phone, it is very limiting in terms of image sensor size and inability to swap lenses. When we started our stock photography journey, all we had was an inexpensive crop sensor Nikon camera with a zoom lens. However, we quickly upgraded to a full-frame Nikon D810 and later D850 DSLR cameras. Later, we bought a 24 to 70mm f2.8 zoom lens and 14 to 24mm f2.8 wide-angle lens by Nikon. Because we started with very little capital, we purchased all this equipment through Amazon on our credit card that gave us an interest-free 12-month financing. We spent over $4,000 on these purchases. Later, we bought a 70 to 200mm f2.8 telephoto lens that completed our Holy Trinity setup of lenses. We also have a few prime lenses, mainly 35mm and 50mm, with wide aperture for night photography. As soon as we transitioned from a crop sensor camera to a full-frame one, the difference in image quality was very noticeable, especially for videos. Disadvantage number 2 is that you will need to build your photography skills. Unless you are already proficient in photography, building those skills can take a little bit of time. When it comes to stock photography, there are 3 sets of skills that you'll need to learn. The first is how to take stock photos and videos that are aesthetically attractive and will sell. The second set is how to post-process your stock content. And third is how to correctly keyword and title your photos and videos for submission. As for taking attractive photos, videos that will sell, there is a technical skill in terms of knowing how your gear works, how to set up proper exposure, and which focus distance to use. Then there is a creative aspect to it. Among the things you will need to master are composition, design, and use of light. We will make a separate video about which resources could help you expand your creative vision. When it comes to stock photography, unfortunately it's moving in the direction of AI or artificial intelligence, models judging and deciding which content to accept or reject. Even if your photo is perfect in every sense, but the machine learning algorithm used by stock agencies detects that there is some level of noise, your image will be rejected. Therefore, proper exposure and correct post-processing are paramount to get your images accepted. Finally, you'll need to learn how to correctly keyword and title your photos and videos that they will be sellable and discoverable on stock photography agencies. It takes a little bit of time to master the skill. In our future videos, we'll discuss in detail these skills and how to improve them over time. The third disadvantage of doing stock photography is that in the future, reductions in stock contributors' payments are very likely. Since 2015, when we started our stock photography business, there were several major reductions in contributor payments. I have no idea what's the ratio of exclusive to non-exclusive stock photographers. However, I would guess that the majority of stock contributors are non-exclusive, like ourselves. That means that they contribute to multiple stock photo agencies at the same time. Under the disguise of benefiting exclusive contributors, almost every major stock agency lowered payments to non-exclusive contributors since 2015. In 2017, Getty Images lowered their percentage payments to non-exclusive contributors to an industry low of 15%. Next, in 2018, Alamy lowered their commission rate from 50 to 40% for non-exclusive contributors. In 2019, Pond5 made a similar move by lowering commissions from 50 to 40% for non-exclusive contributors. While Shutterstock does not publicly offer exclusive contracts to contributors, in 2020 they made a similar move by introducing various levels of sales you need to achieve to get a higher payment percentage. These achieved levels reset each year. Effectively, this was a pay cut. Overall, I would speculate that we'll see further reductions in contributor payments sooner or later. With Getty paying 15% to non-exclusive contributors, there's a lot of room for further reductions. At the end of the day, these stock photo agencies are corporations, answerable to shareholders who demand maximization of profits. So as one goes, the other follows, and so on. However, I would speculate that there's probably a limit to how much they can lower further contributor payments. At some point, if the contributor payments are way too low, the individual contributors like you or me will be unwilling to submit their work to stock photo agencies, and that will be a trouble for them because they are largely depend on small or individual contributors like you or me. So I'm sure that they will keep this in mind in the future as they're still searching for other means to lower contributors' payments and maximize their profits. Disadvantage number 4 is that stock photography is a numbers game and it's a long game. This means that you will have to have a large number of photos and videos submitted to generate a substantial income stream for your living. Do not get upset if you submit your first 100 photos and you will not see an immediate result. How big your portfolio should be depends on how strategic and lucky you are with choosing the right themes for content that will become your best seller. In our case, we do not limit ourselves and submit in pretty much almost any category you can think of, although landscapes, cities, and food dominate our portfolio. What sells best changes all the time, and it is a guesswork that requires research. Even if someone tells you that this or that category sells well, it could be a thing of the past by the time you hear about it. So the best way to cover your bases is to submit a large number of diverse photos and videos of high quality. As for us, we have over 35,000 stock photos and over 6,000 videos, and it took us about 7 years to build it and earn a living. It is possible to earn a living with a smaller portfolio and make it work faster. It all depends on the themes of the photos and videos you submit. Also, from my personal experience, videos can potentially earn even more money than photos. Disadvantage number 5 is that stock photography is a very competitive field. These days, anyone with a camera gear and decent photography skills can submit to microstock stock photo agencies. Actually, microstock photo agencies are inundated with images, and it is very difficult to stand out. So you will have to make sure that your work is differentiated and appears on the first page of search results. One obvious thing is to create high quality content. Second, you need to keyword and title photos and videos well. Third, do not wait and start submitting footage including time lapses for sale as soon as you can. Because making high quality videos is a bit of a trickier process, I feel like competition in stock footage is less severe compared to stock photos. This leads me to disadvantage number 6 for stock photography, and it is that it demands a lot of administrative work. By administrative work, I mean keywording and titling your images. If you ask around stock photographers, they will tell you that the biggest bottleneck in their workflow is keywording and titling content. We realized early on the importance of keywords and titles for your images to sell, and therefore we spent a quality time on each image and video to make sure that it has correct keywords and titles that will make sure that it appears on the first page of search results. Some people may advise you to outsource keywording and titling. Well, we haven't tried it. Moreover, I have two major concerns about it. First, you need to pay for keywording services. If you submit a lot of content and it turns out that only 10 or 20% of it sells well, this could be expensive. Also, concern number two is how accurate keywords will be. Let's say I have an image of a rare temple somewhere in rural Japan. How would a person keywording this image know about this particular temple? The worst case scenario is that you will get a bunch of generic keywords that will require you redo their work and add or replace certain keywords. Over the years, we perfected our workflow of keywording, and we will make a video about it soon, so stay tuned. Disadvantage number 7 is that it is very easy to get discouraged by different mishaps that happen early on. You need to find ways to stay motivated and on track of submitting your work, regardless of what happens. As you submit your first batches, you'll probably get a lot of rejections. Some people say that their acceptance rate is about 10%. Clearly, they're doing something not right. I would say that our acceptance rate ranges somewhere between 50 to 90%, depending on the batch and agency. Despite these rejections, you still have to keep on going and submitting your work and learn how to take better photos and videos. Also, at the beginning, you'll see likely very small sales. That could be discouraging too. Because there's no boss around to tell you what to do or pat you on the shoulder, it's important to keep things in perspective and continue your work. If you know what you're working towards and your ultimate goals, it is easier to stay on course. Personally, the most discouraging thing for me is the time it takes to keyword and submit photos and videos. Sometimes it feels like it takes forever. But once I submit my content and see sales, especially big ones, I feel even more motivated to continue my work. My wife and I will always remember that stock photography provides a valuable passive income. This income can give you financial freedom and ability to pursue many things in life, such as other hobbies, travel, and more time with loved ones. Disadvantage number 8 for stock photography is that sometimes your vacations may feel like workations. Traveling is one of the fastest ways to build your portfolio because you're constantly exposed to new things, cities, food, nature, and people. When we travel, this is when we take most of our photos and videos. Knowing this, it is very easy to fall into a trap of constantly working and forgetting the reason you travel in the first place, which is to see new places, try new things, and meet new people. When we first started traveling and working, that's exactly what happened to us. However, with time, we got much better about balancing our work and leisure. As long as you're conscious about it, there shouldn't be problems for you to mitigate this disadvantage. Disadvantage number 9 is that with the benefit of tax deductions comes the responsibility of keeping track of your expenses, revenues, and taxes. Regardless of whether you decide to go with sole proprietorship or form a limited liability company, you will still have to keep track of your revenues and expenses using some sort of accounting software or on your own. As for us, because our income and expenses are relatively easy to keep track of, all we use is Excel spreadsheet. It's not the most convenient or glamorous method, however it works and it costs nothing. Also, we file our taxes using H&R Block or TurboTax software because they make it very convenient to calculate depreciation expenses, and they also make sure that we do not miss on any tax deductions. If our photography business involved working with clients besides doing stock photography, we would most definitely form a limited liability company and use accounting software for a small business. Doing so will shield our personal assets from liability and allow us to do accounting in a more efficient way. For now, sole proprietorship and an Excel spreadsheet is all we need. We will make another video shortly where we will detail how we do our record keeping. Stay tuned. And the final 10th disadvantage of doing stock photography is that you will be working from home, likely alone. This may or may not be disadvantage depending on whether you are a people's person or enjoy working by yourself and learning new things. As I mentioned earlier, you'll be spending a lot of time post-processing and keywording your content. Therefore, it's very important to make this process as efficient as possible. As for us, my wife and I teamed up early on and help each other with many aspects of stock photography work. If one is sick and tired of keywording, the other can pick up the slack. We sometimes brainstorm video and photo ideas and bounce them off of each other. It would have been much lonelier to do all stock photography work by ourselves. So maybe you can find a partner or ask your significant other to help you with your work. Those were our top 10 disadvantages of doing stock photography. So the question is, should you do it? I cannot answer this question for you because it all depends on your goals in life. The best you can do is to put pros and cons next to each other and put weights for each line item and see which side wins. In our personal experience, aspirations for financial freedom and love of photography beat all the cons. What are your goals for doing stock photography? And do you have any other negatives or positives to add to the list? Please let us know in the comments section, as we are very eager to hear what other fellow photographers think. Also, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. We will have more YouTube videos where we'll discuss all things related to stock photography and how to succeed in it.